No red wave, they say. Donald Trump dragged the party, they say. Sure. 5 million more votes in the popular count says otherwise. Nancy Pelosi announcing she will not seek to be the leader of the party anymore. She will be stepping down. Republicans launching a formal investigation into Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, and all of that begs to differ. By all means, Democrats, scream and cheer and claim you won. You staved off a red wave, but you didn't. All that needed to happen was Republicans win the House. We can put an end to the sham January 6th, hearings, committee, garbage, whatever, and actually start looking into the corruption that is the Biden crime family. Okay. I love how Biden crime family is trending on Twitter, so I'll just say Poe's Law. I don't literally think the Biden family is like an astute criminal organization. I think Joe Biden himself is just corrupt and does illicit business dealings with his son. So not really the family, but it's easier to say Biden crime family than it is to type into a thumbnail Joe and Hunter Biden. Longer, more use of not as many characters in that space. But this is the big news. All of these things are huge. Republicans have formally taken the House. Nancy Pelosi has announced she will not be moving forward with an attempt to lead the Democratic Party. And we are getting a formal investigation into Joe Biden's corruption. This is amazing. Bank accounts were commingled. Joe Biden lied to the American people about his involvement with his son's business dealings. Hunter Biden on the board of Burisma. Quid pro quo, Joe Biden saying, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting the $1 billion. He had no legal authority to do that, but they lied. They claimed he did. I will not forget the individuals who supported impeaching Donald Trump because he uncovered the corruption. And let's give an honorable mention to our good friend Sam Harris, who exposed what Trump derangement syndrome really means. When being interviewed by the Trigonometry podcast, he said, there is nothing in Hunter Biden's laptop that is worse than Trump University. You kidding me? These people, they are deeply unhinged, deeply deranged. So I do not care for their opinions. Donald Trump is no saint. Trump University, fine. Call out the bad things of this guy. I ain't here to defend him for that. But if you think that Joe Biden as vice president engaging in a quid pro quo with Ukraine to protect his son's illicit business dealing is not bad, and you don't care about it because Donald Trump set up a fake university or something, you're insane. Now, that being said, my warning to the Republicans. The American people don't care about this. Not for the most part. I do. Politicos do. Conservatives, Republicans, and many libertarians do. I want to make sure that as Republicans are moving forward with this, they keep on message for the American people. We will bring more jobs. We will secure our border. We will work to get gas prices down. We will pass effective budgets. That's what matters most. Now, for the rest of us, I don't want them to campaign full swing on this stuff. I don't want Republicans to dedicate all of their time to screaming about this stuff. I do want to see the job get done, however. So I certainly hope the Republicans understand what this means and what they need to be doing. They need to get to the bottom of the Hunter Biden and Joe Biden criminal fiasco. They need to expose the lies and the attacks that were placed against Donald Trump, the manipulations, and they need to make sure they're actually leading this country. They're actually going to do what they can. But I'll be real, not a whole lot they can do. They can affect budgets. That's about it. They have the House. They're not going to get things passed in the Senate. It doesn't even matter if Walker wins in Georgia at this point, unless there's some legal challenges in some states and maybe something changes. I really doubt it. They're not going to get past a veto. What they can do is control the budget. So that should be interesting to see nonetheless. But I hope they do it right. Let's get into this news. But before we do, my friends, head over to establishedtitles.com/Tim Pool and become a Scottish Lord. Sponsoring this segment today is Established Titles. And what they do is they allow you to buy a small piece of land in Scotland, which helps preserve part of the forest land, the woodlands. And then you become a laird, as it were. EstablishedTitles.com is a project based on historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to lords and ladies. Their title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest. To add to that, it's a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. They do this by planting a tree with every order and work with global charities like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future. It's actually really, really cool. The first 200 people purchasing a title pack using this link, establishedtitles.com/Tim Pool, click in the description below, will be effectively next to my plot. They actually gave me my own, within a few minutes of walking distance, and it makes for an amazing last-minute gift. Hey, shout out to establishedtitles.com/Tim Pool. They say use promo code TIMPOOL to get an additional 10% off. Shout out to companies that are willing to support the work that we do, especially when we're calling out the Biden crime family, as it were. I'm a big fan. This is really, really cool. So I got my plot. I got my cool little placard. I love the idea of protecting woodlands, and this seems like a fun and cool way to do it. So establishedtitles.com/TimPool. Thanks for the sponsorship. Let's get back to the story at hand. From the Daily Mail, Biden was chairman of the board. Republicans claim president is compromised by Hunter's foreign deals involving 50 countries, insist bank accounts were commingled, and White House spent $250,000 to deflect damaging stories. Here we go. I want to issue this reminder as we read this story. To every conservative who complained and said Trump dragged us down and we should have done better and we're, harumph, I say. To every Democrat who laughed and said, red wave, more like a red trickle, am I right? I don't care about your opinions. I'm sitting back and watching Republicans outright state they are launching an investigation into Joe Biden. Next thing I want to see is impeachment. You want to play games? Games will be played. Republicans are claiming that President Joe Biden was involved in his son Hunter's controversial foreign business deals, which allegedly spans 50 countries, lawmakers said in a press conference Thursday. It's a bold thing to write, Daily Mail, that Republicans are claiming it when you yourself have written the same story over and over again. Here's another story from the Daily Mail. Emails reveal shared bank accounts paying each other's bills. Oh, very interesting. Here's one. Sacking to denial. Hunter's email reveals big guy Joe Biden was to get 10% stake in Chinese oil deal. Dined with Hunter's shady business partners when he was VP. So let me just stress once more for you, Daily Mail. When you say Republicans are claiming, I understand what you mean to say. But how about you just start with Republicans have claimed, based on confirmed reports from the Daily Mail, that Joe Biden was involved in illicit business dealings. They say it comes one day after the GOP clinched 218 seats in the House of Representatives, cementing their majority and investigative powers in the next Congress. The president has long denied involvement in and knowledge of his son's foreign business dealings, some of which are being investigated by federal authorities. But Rep. James Comer accused Biden of being chairman of the board of his family's business dealings and even claimed the White House spent more than $250,000 to deflect negative stories about Hunter. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, he said. I think we've laid out the evidence as to why we feel it's important, and we're going to move forward with that. Yes, of course. From the Washington Free Beacon. It's an investigation into, well, actually, you know what? Let me play the audio for you.
We are releasing a report today that details what we have uncovered. We are also sending letters to the Biden administration officials and Biden family associates renewing our request for voluntary production of documents relevant to this investigation.
Okay. A little quiet. I hate when they don't normalize audios. Free Beacon guys, hey, use the audio normalization. Here's one from Betty Johnson.
As such, this investigation will be a top priority. We are releasing a report today that details what we have uncovered. We are also sending letters to the Biden administration officials and Biden family associates renewing our request for voluntary production of documents relevant to this investigation. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, the president of the United States, and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes. National security interests require the committee conduct investigation, and we will pursue all avenues that have long been ignored. Committee Republicans have uncovered evidence of federal crimes committed by and to the benefit of members of the president's family. These include conspiracy or defrauding the United States, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, tax evasion, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution.
Wait. I got to play that again. Let's play that again.
The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. In the 118th Congress, this committee will evaluate the status of Joe Biden's relationship with his family's foreign partners and whether he is a president who is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars and influence. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, and that's where the committee will focus in this next Congress. The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality from human trafficking.
Implicated in human trafficking. Boy, I want to make sure everybody heard that one loud and clear. This is going to be interesting. You know, they levied a whole bunch of nonsense against Donald Trump. There were things that Donald Trump did that I thought were bad. There was a scandal where apparently Trump properties were being advertised on a government website. That got pulled down. Trump tried to have the G7 at one of his properties. Everybody said, don't do that. He said, fine, I won't. I'm sure, you know, look, there are other questions, but with Joe Biden, this is something that's been going on for a very, very long time. And this would not be a Timcast segment if I did not bring receipts with me. So while this story is beginning, allow me to walk you through just how bad things get. From the Daily Mail, October 12th, 2021, Joe Biden could become embroiled in the FBI's probe into Hunter's finances, experts say. Emails reveal they shared bank accounts, paid each other's bills, and the president may have even funded his son's 2018 drug and prostitution binge. Shared bank accounts, that's a bold one. I don't even know how you do that. You know, I've talked with my accountant, and we try to make sure that when we're operating our business, everything is done on the level, and we go above and beyond to make sure it is. Meaning, we make sure we're paying all the taxes. Even if we go a little bit over, no problem. We'll get a refund at the end of the year. How about that? We make sure we keep all the accounts separate because we want our accounting to be clean and easily viewable. How could Joe Biden and Hunter share a bank account? They've commingled their finances? Yeah, how do you track that? That's insane. I mean, if they're getting audited, it looks like tax evasion. It looks like they're transferring money to each other. How do you, I don't even know how you get past that. If you start pooling all the money in the same place, sure, I guess you can make some argument. But that right away, I was like, what? How could they possibly be doing that? Something does not make sense. Oh, and here we go. From the New York Post, July 27th, 2022. Hunter Biden's business partner called Joe Biden, quote, the big guy in panicked message after posts laptop story. Uh-oh. Joe Biden's nickname was the big guy? Well, that's a crazy thing to call him, but hey, call him whatever you want. Why would that matter? Well, in this report from the Daily Mail, Hunter's emails reveal the big guy, Joe Biden, was to get a 10% stake in Chinese oil deal, dined with Hunter's shady business partners when he was VP, shared a bank account with his son, and flew associate to Mexico on Air Force Two. Let me just scroll down to the old email we have right here. And here's what it says. At the moment, there's a provisional agreement that the equity will be distributed as follows. 20H, 20RW, 20JG, 20TB, 20 Jim, 10 Jim, 10 held for H for the big guy. Held by H. Gee, I wonder who H is. Hunter? Then who would the big guy be? Joe Biden himself. Absolutely amazing. Now, to be fair, this is 2017, okay? From Tony Bobulinski, who claimed he was the big guy and that he was in charge of the operation. 2017, May 16th. Yeah, Joe Biden was not in office. But this shows that Joe Biden was involved with his son's business dealings. He then later lied about it. So, here we go. Biden approves an additional $1.1 billion in security assistance for Ukraine. September 28th, 2022. Many of you may be saying, Tim, look, what does this have to do with this current presidency? And allow me to explain. When Joe Biden was president, he engaged in a quid pro quo with Ukraine, calling up the president, I believe it was Poroshenko at the time, and he said, I want the prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, fired. And they said, you don't have the authority. You can't. He says, if you don't do it, you don't get the $1 billion. He's on camera having said this. It's not disputed. The fact checkers simply come out and say, yeah, but this was in line with U.S. foreign policy. He was allowed to do it. No, he's not. They can say it all they want. The vice president doesn't have the authority to pressure a foreign country to fire a prosecutor in exchange for congressionally approved aid. The executive branch can't do that. That's the argument they made about Donald Trump, that Trump could not threaten to withhold aid unless there was an investigation. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Here's what I think happened. First, I'm not saying that Joe Biden did that to benefit his son. I don't know. I'm saying it did benefit his son. That's all that matters. A conflict of interest benefiting the Biden family. Burisma was an energy company where Hunter Biden was on the board of directors. Viktor Shokin had at least a dozen open investigations into Burisma. When he was fired, those investigations went bye-bye. Now, I can't prove the intent of Joe Biden. I don't know what was going through his mind. But certainly, it was a conflict of interest that benefited his family, thus warranting a very serious investigation. Did he do this with a criminal mindset? That's what matters. Now, they can come out all day and night and say, Joe Biden did not get the prosecutor fired to protect his son. Sure, I'm not alleging that, so carry on, good sir. I'm arguing that it did benefit his son, depending on, regardless of whether or not Biden was trying to do it, and thus there's probable cause for a very serious criminal investigation. But perhaps, my friends, perhaps you simply say, I don't know if this matters. You know, after all that goes down, Joe Biden becomes president and begins funneling billions to Ukraine. So now we've got a very serious conflict of interest. The Ukrainian government inadvertently or advertently protected his son. And now Joe Biden is funneling billions to Ukraine. Okay. That says to me, we need an investigation to see if Joe Biden is engaged in a quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Here we go. Now, it's been several years, don't get me wrong. But I do not trust a president who is giving billions or $1 billion plus to a government that previously benefited his family. Even if Joe Biden did not intend to engage in a quid pro quo to benefit his son, certainly he must have realized later on that there was an investigation into his son and he benefited from that. Maybe he didn't intend to, fine. But now he's giving $1 billion to Ukraine. He's approving this stuff. He should be recused from this. He shouldn't be allowed to oversee this. Funny how that works. And I know he knows. Now, the Republicans want to go after the bank accounts. We'll see what happens. Where do we end up? Politico. Investigating the investigators. Dem strategists to launch counterpunch to House GOP. Spare me. It's a big waste of time. Let me tell you what this is all about. Let me tell you where this is going. First of all, the Democrats aren't going to have the power, so I'm not interested in hearing it. From Politico magazine, 2019, Biden Inc. These disgusting, corrupt scumbags should not be allowed in government. Politico reported, over his decades in office, middle-class Joe's family fortunes have closely tracked his political career. That's strange. In the late summer of 2006, Joe Biden's son Hunter and Joe's younger brother James purchased the firm, Paradigm Global Advisors. On their first day on the job, they showed up with Joe's other son, Beau, and two large men and ordered the hedge fund's chief of compliance to fire its president, according to a Paradigm executive who was present. After the firing, the two large men escorted the fund's president out of the firm's Midtown Manhattan office, and James Biden laid out his vision for the fund's future. Don't worry about investors, he said. We've got people all around the world who want to invest in Joe Biden. And there it is. It's exactly what the crime family was doing. They knew that they were going to have a powerful, prominent political figure. They had one. Now, it's 2006. Joe Biden's not the VP yet, but boy, those investors probably very happy that their investment paid off. a direct line to the now vice president. Wonderful. Let's scroll down and take a look at the beautiful little old images they have here. They have this great little chart in this article talking about the Biden crime family. Biden Inc., as it's called. Let me see if they. I'm pretty sure they have a timeline in here. Maybe it's not in this one. Maybe it's in a different article. There's or did I pass it up? I'm sorry. It must be in the video. There's a timeline showing Joe Biden's career trajectory and ultimately what ends up happening. And yeah, you get the point. Politico wrote the whole thing up as time goes on. Let me see if they have the Iraq information in here. Oh, here we go. In June 11th, the firm landed contracts worth an estimated $1.5 billion to build homes in Iraq. At the time, Hillstone had little home building experience. Weird. Joe Biden was leading the administration's Iraq policy. What a coincidence. The firm denied the vice president's position helped it land the deal, which came through the Track Development Group, a South Korean firm that had been awarded a contract by the Iraqi government to build 500,000 homes in Iraq. Come on. You expect me to play these games? I ain't playing these games. No corrupt firm is going to walk into Joe Biden's office and sign a deal. No, it's going to be a third party for plausible deniability. But this is here in front of our faces as reported by Politico magazine. Politico. The bastions of good, effective news, right? 100 out of 100 says NewsGuard. So don't come to me and claim it's a lie. The Democratic establishment, don't get me wrong, the Republican establishment too, they're deeply disturbing figures. But the Biden crime family, they're something special. I love saying that, Biden crime family. The only qualm I have with it is that it makes it sound Joe a bit more effective than he really is. But they're doing this. We know they're doing this. We've known they're doing this. And it's about time something was looked into. Now, I get it. The laptop's being investigated. Journalists are on top of it. What remains of journalism. Politico, hey, to their credit, they did this report. Joe Biden's a crooked guy. Hunter's a crooked guy. His brother, they're crooked as they come. And they're in federal government. And they have power. And what do you do to stop it? Well, right now, the victory of the Republicans in the House is paving that path forward. But none of it will matter if Republicans don't figure out how ballot harvesting works. Good luck. What's this? More news. I want to give credit to Donald Trump and the red wave. Oh boy, they said there wasn't one. They lied. The New York Times says, though Democrats held off a red wave, there was still a red ripple in their districts. Most 2022 Republican House candidates outperformed Donald Trump's 2020 election results. Fascinating. So what's going on? Here we can see a major red shift across the board, seemingly in every district. In New York, every county shifted Republican. But they said Donald Trump dragged the party. How could that be? He didn't. They're lying. 52.2 million votes for the Republicans, 47.2 for the Democrats. Republicans won the popular vote. But Republicans moved around. Democrats were able to do better than expected due to mail-in voting. Turnout for Democrats was abysmal. So what does this mean? In 2020, Republicans did better than expected. In 2022, when looking at the numbers, if you remove the Democrats' numbers, make it purely about Republicans, Republicans did better than they did even in 2022. The reason it was a hard-fought battle is because, well, let's be real, mail-in voting. But Republicans have improved. Donald Trump endorsed hundreds. The overwhelming majority won. They're trying to smear Trump because they desperately want to stop him, invoking the 14th Amendment and all that jazz. But the reality is, Trump pulled it off. Nancy Pelosi, 82, steps down as leader of the Democrats after 19 years. Congresswoman who was elected in 1987 says a new generation is needed, pays tribute to husband Paul after attack and snubs Trump in House speech. Pelosi's been fired. Donald Trump has his revenge. I don't know what more you could expect, what more you could want. I will stress this point. Milo Yiannopoulos came on Timcast IRL and he said the reason Trump supporters are mad is because they wanted revenge. They got it. They won. And I said, oh, you wanted a red wave, a major rebuke of the Democrats with 250 seats in the House. Sorry, you'll have to settle for victory and your revenge. What more could anybody want? But we needed the Senate. Sure, would have been better. Rand Paul would have a better job going after Dr. Fauci. The House will have to do it. I'm not entirely confident that a lot's going to get done. McCarthy says no impeachment, whatever. McConnell's not going to do anything. They're not going to focus on culture. Let's see if they figure out how ballot harvesting works. But already, they're launching investigations. I'll take it, man. If all we get out of this was the end of the January 6th committee garbage, prime time, and we get at least a statement that the Bidens are crooked people, victory. But let me tell you something. You want revenge? Nancy Pelosi, who stood behind Donald Trump and ripped up his speech, you fired. And that's Donald Trump. So you did it. Congratulations. You want more? Win. Figure out the ballot harvesting. Figure out how Scott Pressler is registering new Republicans to vote. And it's only because of those efforts that this is possible today. Next, you're going to need major ballot harvesting initiatives. Now, for the Republican-controlled states, you can simply get rid of universal mail-in voting. Look at Pennsylvania. Ballot harvesting, Fetterman wins. Bye-bye, Pelosi. I don't care. She's awful and good riddance. So the Republicans are getting their revenge. Movements are being made. Speaker Pelosi mentioned during her time as Speaker, she had worked with 3 presidents, Bush, Obama, and Biden. She notably left out Trump, with whom she had an antagonistic relationship. She received a standing ovation from Democrats when she entered the House. Pelosi arrived, giving no indication of her decision. Oh, everybody knew. It's amazing to watch. I'm excited for it. The end of an era. Well, to be fair, Pelosi is 82, so she had to retire. I can't believe she still ran. I can't believe people in her district still vote Democrat with feces all over the ground. But hey, go for it, I guess. They're in talk that Congress, there had been talk Congress in a sort of emeritus role that would give her an advisor status, both to Democrats and to Joe Biden, but would step down from formal leadership, allowing a younger generation of lawmakers to take charge. Please. It's just going to be more cult weirdos. After she spoke, she was swarmed by Democrats on the House floor who gave her hugs and kisses. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer was among those congratulating Pelosi. The Democratic side of the House was filled to the brim with lawmakers and staff. The Republican side was notably empty, with less than a dozen seats filled. The GOP's number 2 leader, Steve Scalise, was there and gave her a standing ovation. There was no sight of the Republicans' top leader, Kevin McCarthy. In her remarks, Pelosi thanked her family and particularly mentioned her husband, who was recovering in San Francisco. For my dear husband, Paul, who has been my beloved partner in my life and a pillar of my support, we're grateful for all the prayers that from well-wishers as he continues his recovery. You know, interestingly, a local news affiliate in the Bay Area says that the report that was retracted sort of by Today Show, actually true. Paul Pelosi answered the door calmly, informed the police that everything was okay, and calmly walked back to this man who apparently then struck him with a hammer. Why? Why wouldn't he try to escape if this man broke into his home? Something doesn't make sense at all. And the guy who's accused of doing it, he's pleaded not guilty. These people are liars. The whole story's a lie. Nancy Pelosi just lies and spits in people's faces. That's what they do. Democrats rely on ignorant voters, which is why they want 16-year-olds to vote. Which is why they want you to believe this story. Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy? So saith David DePape. I don't buy it. I think they're lying. AOC fabricated her story outright. This story about Nancy Pelosi's husband, probably also BS. Where's the body camera footage? Where's the security camera footage? This is what we have to contend with. Are the Republicans actually going to do anything meaningful? So far, we got a statement, accusations. Okay. Are we going to see an impeachment? Will McCarthy even allow it? Probably not. But we'll see. I think the Republicans should have played a game of chicken. 31 House Freedom Caucus members, I'm hearing, well, 31 members, including House Freedom Caucus, have rejected McCarthy's leadership. I'm glad to see it. Now let's see them hold out for some leverage. I'm not expecting them to win everything, but they're definitely going to force the Republicans to play ball. My attitude on this, if it were me, even Marjorie Taylor Greene supported Kevin McCarthy. Perhaps she was promised she'll be on committees and be able to actually affect some change if she supports him. And so I get it. I do. If it were me, I don't know. I'd be like, at a time like this, if it were me in Congress, 218, you can't afford to lose my vote. You better play ball. Oh, you're not coming to me and saying anything. You can do whatever you want. I'm here. And that vote's meaningful. So, what are we going to get done? We will see. I trust Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think she's a shill for the establishment. I think she may be a bit of a zany personality in some respects. She certainly said some wacky things. Yeah. But you know what? She's genuine. And I think she's willing to have a conversation, and she's trying to do right by people. I've had her on the show a couple times. And I can tell that she doesn't want to do wrong by people. She wants to do right by people. Now, if she's supporting McCarthy, that gives me pause. I don't like it. But I want to see what Marjorie Taylor Greene can pull off, because I think she can do something. She wants to. I don't think she's in this for power. She was already wealthy. We'll see. I like people like Thomas Massie. So I'm interested to see what gets done in the House when you've got some libertarian-minded individuals who believe in the Constitution in this country. The Republican Party is not the same as the Democrats. They're not perfect. The leadership is garbage. But if we can get something done, I will be happy. For the time being, here's what I can say to all of you. Hey, man, this is good enough. Pelosi's gone. Bravo, Donald Trump. We'll see. That's all I can really say is we will see. One thing we know for sure, the Democrats, no more of this stupid investigation, no more of this garbage and publishing phone records and whatever nonsense. I'll take it. We need to demand more and make sure they actually do their jobs. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all next time.